Hello, Team Mitzi. I need to share some information with you today about a decision that's been made because I want to make sure you have all the background information on what went into making this decision, and I want to make sure you fully understand the decision and what that means going forward. So first, I need to share my screen with you. If you'll give me just a second here. Okay, so this you should have seen these charges, been sending them out to the whole agency. And going forward, it'll be Tracy, our new CFO, which, by the way, we've met and talked with her. She's going to be really good. Just a little sidebar. Anyway, this is the graph. This is the COVID tracking graph we've been working off of since it started. Now, the blue line, the green line, light green, light blue, all that stuff. Those were the projections that were put together going into this on where we would be because decision points are attached to these potential possibilities. However, this red line, this is where we actually are. And the reason we are so much higher than the projections, in fact, we're about $11 million above where we'd be projected, is because of all the hard work y'all been doing. I mean, we've been kicking it out there on training, bringing in a lot more revenue than what the agency thought we'd be bringing at this point in time. Also, we've been doing the TDM deployments. That's had a huge impact for us economically. In fact, this pink line that you see running down through here, that is where we would be without the TDM deployments. And that is right at an $11 million difference. So had we not been deploying for TDM, helping with the COVID mission, we'd be here instead of here. And here's what's important about that. This yellow line, that is 50% of our reserves. And the decision made by the TEACS executive team at the very beginning of this pandemic that if we hit 50% of our reserves, layoffs are going to have to be made because we have to be able to remain a viable organization going forward. And our whole goal, our whole strategy since this started is to retain every employee. And we've done a phenomenal job of that. But the important thing is if it wasn't for TDM, we'd be down here. Instead, we're up here. This green line is the 70% of our reserves. If we can stay above that, the higher we can stay above that, the better it is. Because then coming out of this pandemic on the other end, we will be in a much better position to start picking back up on capital projects like the new San Antonio facility, the new drive track for out here at Relish for law, things like that. So we want to try to stay in this region. Some of you may have heard that the TDM contract is expiring in December. Well, that's true. The original TDM contract expires at the end of December. However, David and NIMKID have been meeting this week. It is going to be extended. More than likely, it's going to be extended until June. So these deployments are going to last quite a bit longer. Bear with me for a second. I'll get out of this sharing mode. Okay, so why am I telling you all this? Well, we've had a problem going forward so far the last couple of months on the deployments. We've been doing it with volunteers. We've had a lot of folks volunteer. In fact, we've had people volunteer that have been out there basically 9 months continuously with very little time off from it. A week here, maybe a couple of days there, but they're getting tired. And when we start having problems getting our folks to volunteer, we start using wage instructors to meet the mission. And that does meet the mission of supporting TDM, supporting the state, making the COVID response for state successful. However, economically, it's better for TEACS if we deploy full-time people because, again, the salaries go off of TEACS onto the TDM project and task. And that really helps with our goal of not losing any TEACSons because it keeps us up there in that above the 70% instead of approaching the 50%. So if you've not volunteered yet, or if you volunteer but you haven't been out in a while, I highly encourage you to volunteer. And in the beginning, this was kind of open-ended. Nobody really knew what they were. You could go out there and be out there for 7, 8, 9 weeks. We're not doing that anymore. We're going with 2-week deployments. There are some cases like Lisa Cumbie's doing for us. She goes out to Lubbock. Since it's such a long drive, she decides she'd rather do 3 to 4 weeks at a time instead of go out for 2 weeks, come back and go back out again. So it's always going to be somewhat flexible with the employee and what the needs are in whatever region they're supporting. However, this isn't working like our normal responses, because the responses are not new to TEACS. We've always been a resource to the state of Texas. We've always played into responses. Um, you know, back several years ago when we were having all the wildfires, I actually took a team out to over in Montgomery County to help with the wildland firefighting. Took TEACS apparatus, TEACS equipment, TEACS employees, because that's what we do. We're part of the state and the response. We could be asked to send out our bucket trucks and our digger trucks if there was a need for that, because again, we are a state resource. In the past, we've always been able to use full-time volunteers and augment that a little bit with wage if we needed to. But all those responses have been short. It's been a few days to a couple of weeks to several weeks. Harvey, several folks were involved in the Harvey response, and that went on a few weeks. COVID has been different. It has gone on for months. It's gone on for basically 9 months now, with possibly another 6 months of it going on. It's made it very difficult for TEACS to meet the mission, and that's what we do, is we meet the mission for the state. So since we've been having trouble with volunteers, the decision has been made that in some cases we're going to have to assign people to go out in order to make sure that's all done according to HR policy and procedures. All of our PDs are going to be changed. Deployment is going to be added to our PD. It will be an expected job responsibility that if called upon, we will respond. And that's everybody from David all the way down. Thus far, they have asked the division directors not to respond because they want us here for division business. Going forward, division director will be responding as well if we needed to. The only caveat on that is if I'm deployed, Tony's here. They won't, they're either the director or the associate director here, but they're trying to come up with more flexibility so we can get more volunteers out there. Because obviously it's better to have volunteers out there than to have to assign somebody to go out. But that's what we're looking at. When's this going to take effect? Well, they're working on it now. I'm sure HR is going to handle redoing all the PDs. We'll all be re-signing PDs, going through all that paperwork. But more than likely, this will start in January. Each appointment, it would be on a case-by-case basis if somebody's assigned to deploy. It'd be based on business need. Obviously, we're not going to deploy somebody if that's just down training, because we still need to be able to generate revenue. We're not going to deploy somebody if it puts an undue burden on them because of family or whatever. But they'll be looked at on a case-by-case basis. Don't think it's going to happen very often. I think we'll be able to continue to get volunteers, but if not, it could happen. So again, this announcement, David made this announcement on the deployment call this morning. They have a daily call. And I know how things are at TEACS. Rumors start flying rapid. So I wanted you to get the exact story, everything behind that decision and everything that it means going forward. So if you have any questions, please give me a call. Teams me. You can get hold of me on Teams. You can send me an email. Or if you think something between now and our Christmas all hands meeting on the 16th, you can ask me during the meeting, because I want to be as transparent and open about this as possible, because it is a change to our PDs, but it's really not a change to what has always been expected of us. It's just going to be specific in writing now. So that's all I had for you today. So thanks again for killing it out there for us, because we are doing, especially as a division, we're doing really, really well. TEACS is doing well so far. What we're looking at is how do we keep doing well as this pandemic extends, so that we continue to meet that goal of not impacting anybody's job TEACS. We want to keep everybody we have. I know I don't want to lose any of y'all. So thanks again. Stay safe out there. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.